Pyramidal lock scenes with fader and looping, sample streaming and effects and MIDI for hooking up external synthesizers for control. These are a few of my favorite things about the Elektron Octatrack. This might seem very common now that basically every sampler, synthesizer and whatnot with a sequencer has something equivalent of this. But I believe it was Elektron that brought this idea to the mainstream with their mono machine and machine drum. It's a simple idea. You can control basically every parameter and sample per step basis. Just hold it down, twist some parameters, pitch up, pitch down, change the sample, and you can do a really complex sequences on only one track. For example, if you look at Octatrack, you have 8 sample channels. I'm using the 8 for master, so really I have 7 channels, which might seem really basic in this world of MPC lives and Ableton pushes and so on, but with parameter locks you can change the sample, every parameter, and that way you can have a beat on one channel. And you can go crazy with it. An idea borrowed from the world of DJ mixers is a really fun favorite on the Octatrack. It allows you to smoothly change a lot of parameters at once and potentially totally transforming your track. There are 16 scenes to pick 2, 1 for each side of the crossfader and assign the value of every parameter you desire in here. It's not an on-off type either, so you pick the end values of each scene and Octatrack smoothly transitions between them when you move the crossfader. This one was a bit of a head scratcher for me. It took some time and research to get the looping working how I wanted to, but now I'm comfortable with looping by utilizing the pickup machines. So, I have set these 2 tracks to be pickup machines, and they are set up so that I'm recording the main out, so I'm recording, looping the Octatrack itself, not the inputs, although that'd be doable too. I have a record length on this track 32 steps, and I have it quantized recording for 16 steps. I could have it for the pattern length, but I feel 16 steps gives me a bit more flexibility when working with the longer patterns. So, how does it work? I have a Thru machine here with stuff coming from a modular, straight from Morphagene. Let's get a bit more volume out of that. And now I open the track 5, which is set to the A side of the crossfader. This is an old recording, let's just erase that. When I press Rec 1, it starts to record, quantized. Rec 2, it stops at the end of the pattern. Now, when I bring the crossfader and the more to the left, it starts to play the loop. And we can pitch shift that. And maybe stack these to the other side. So we can mix and match a bit. This is a shorter loop. It's 16 steps. In the middle position they are layered. And I can go to the Thru machine. It's still running stuff from the modular. Let's add effects. I'm going to change the pitch or the speed on the morphogene. So now we have 2 loops. One pitch shifted up. Let's shift this down. The third one is coming straight from the modular. So, kind of a nice ambient soundscape. Let's bring it to the club. And of course, each of these pickup machines have their own effects. With static machines, Octatrack can stream samples directly from the SD card. No, compact flash card. It's vintage media. So you can use samples as large as gigabytes if that's what your heart desires. Here I have a really mastered track from my album Spectrums. Let's play it. I can just trigger it to play, and now I can fake that I'm playing live. Just turn all the knobs. All the better if you have a modular synthesizer. And there you see these, despite the name, the static machines, they are not static. You can still change the rate of play. You can still pitch shift. Of course you can use the sequencer. Let's put, and you can change the starting point and use the effects. And this you can do the samples size of a gigabytes, as I mentioned. These two next ones kind of tie together. Here I have my modular hooked into one of the inputs of the Octatrack. And here I have a track, Thru machine track, which is has effects for the incoming audio. So, and I can change the levels. I have a filter and all of these other effects. So this way Octatrack can be used as a mixer and effects machine for other gear. Here I am only running one input, one mono input. I could use stereo. There are 4 inputs in total, so I could hook up 2 stereo pairs or 4 actual machines in here. And for a simple delay, just swinging things up, it's pretty nice. And of course, here I could utilize the looping as I mentioned earlier. The MIDI implementation on the Octatrack is overall really robust. You have 8 MIDI tracks with your usual suspects of parameters like velocity, note length. You can have polyphonic sequencing if you hook up a polyphonic synthesizer, but to me the highlight is Midi LFOs. As with sample tracks, you have 3 LFOs per track, which can be assigned to various destinations, have different wave speeds, depths, and so on. And with setting up control messages for MIDI, I can use these LFOs to control my modular synthesizer through this Poly and Poly 2 MIDI to CV interface. All the LFOs are now zeroed out. We have one going into the fold input of the DPO. We have one going to the FM index on the DPO, and one MIDI CC translated to CV is going into mats to control the length of the slew. I'm using mats for the envelope for this synth voice. So let's hear it. Here we have the same sequence we have last time. We have some delay. Now let's turn up the first LFO, which controls the fold input. It adds a bit more movement to the sound. The second one with that FM amount. There it goes, a bit extreme. Let's lower the depth, and then let's add modulation to the envelope length on the mats. So these are really handy extra modulation sources for synthesizers, to me especially with the modular, because you can never have too many modulation sources. And you have 3 LFOs per track, you have 8 tracks, so, and of course you can modulate the LFOs with other LFOs, so you can really build these complex modulation networks where you combine the digital sequencing with the analog world of, for example, a modular synthesizer.